Senator Ronan Mullen is with me in studio to talk about a couple of different things. We might talk about Mr. Joe Brolly in just a moment, Senator. But first, I know you're a member of this Oireachtas committee that's looking into the issue of assisted dying and whether we should legislate for it in this country. There's two interesting guests today in that regard. Somebody from Dignitas, who people will know here is the clinic in Switzerland that offers this service, and then kind of a Dutch healthcare expert as well, Theo de Boer, who has misgivings about how it has rolled out in the Netherlands. Tell me about what you heard.
Yeah, it was quite a counterpoint. I suppose the man from Dignitas was very much focused on choice and rights and, destigmatizing or getting rid of the taboo of suicide. Quite a radical presentation, and describing how it works in Switzerland, where it's assisted suicide, where doctors aren't directly involved, but where nonetheless, for example, in the area of cancer, the rate of assisted suicides has doubled every 5 years over the last 20 years, and no noticeable reduction in suicide rates. So not good news there. We were putting it to him, but he was quite forceful. He was quite dismissive, actually, of the palliative care professionals here. He was suggesting they had big egos, more or less telling patients. I said, well, we'll hear from the palliative care people in due course. I'm sure they would say they're concerned about the welfare of patients.
Hospital consultants to have big egos now.
Well, I would say that palliative care nurses and doctors, do an awful lot with people in their very difficult moments.
And a lot of their representative groups do have serious misgivings.
Yeah, and there'll be a lot of grateful families for the love and care they got. It was quite holistic, I would say. Professor de Boer was formerly much more supportive of euthanasia than he is now. It'd be my words, but he described really a runaway train situation where in Netherlands now 5% of deaths are as a result of euthanasia, and mostly euthanasia where basically the doctor or a third party does the killing, to be blunt, as opposed to somebody being assisted to end their own life. He was, he wasn't closing the door on it completely, but he was very kind of nervous of the consequence. He talked about the social effect, people maybe coming under pressure in family situations. He said there's no way of policing that. So he was kind of saying to us, don't legislate really, even if there were exceptions around the edges where you wouldn't maybe prosecute to the nth degree. Now those are my words, but I suppose hanging in the background was the idea of people coming to feel a burden or people being taken advantage of. I mean, if you take that 5% of deaths in the Netherlands, if you were to apply that, compare that with the Irish population, comparing our populations, that might be something like, over 2,000 deaths a year. Like that's the equivalent of the increase in deaths each year during COVID on average. So this is big stuff. I mean, we've a long way to go. We have to hear from different medical and other perspectives, but it was certainly very interesting today. Two very different styles, very respectful of each other, but coming from a very different place ultimately in what they would recommend.
Yeah, listen, people with very, very strong views on it, and lots of other people, I think, kind of confused and kind of thankful maybe for the work of this Oireachtas committee so that they can think about these things themselves, which is why it is happening.